The Ram 1500 is the best-selling full-size truck in America for a reason, and that reason is Stellantis sold over 473,000 Ram 1500s in 2023 alone. That's more trucks than there are people in the city of Atlanta. Every single one of those buyers made a purchase decision based on advertised capability, a monthly payment, and the promise of a truck that works as hard as they do. Meet Gary Hutchins. He's a 54-year-old contractor in Columbus, Ohio. He bought a 2021 Ram 1500 Classic for $41,700, financed over 72 months at 5.9% APR. He needed a work truck. He got one. But 18 months into ownership, he got something else too. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what the sticker price never tells you, and why the most expensive part of that Ram isn't on the window. There are roughly 9.4 million registered Ram 1500 trucks currently on American roads. Of those, an estimated 2.1 million are model years 2019 through 2022, the generation at the center of what we're about to lay out. These aren't edge cases. These are mainstream buyers, tradespeople, farmers, and commuters who chose the Ram over the F-150 or Silverado because the numbers looked right on paper. Gary's numbers looked right too. His monthly payment was $781. His truck payment fit his cash flow. What didn't fit was the phone call he got from his mechanic in month 18, a diagnosis that handed him a $3,200 repair bill for a failed eTorque mild hybrid system. That's not a worn brake pad. That's a technology failure in a system most buyers didn't know existed when they signed. The eTorque system is Stellantis' answer to fuel economy mandates. It's a 48-volt belt-integrated starter generator grafted onto the Ram's existing 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 or 5.7-liter Hemi V8. It recovers braking energy and provides torque assist. The engineering rationale is sound. The execution in the real world is a different story. And when that system fails outside of warranty, which it does, repeatedly, at specific mileage thresholds, the owner absorbs the entire cost. But this is only the surface layer. In 2018, Fiat Chrysler, now Stellantis, made a strategic decision. They decided to introduce mild hybrid technology across the Ram 1500 lineup to meet tightening CAFE standards. CAFE stands for Corporate Average Fuel Economy, the federal mandate that determines how efficient a manufacturer's entire fleet must be, on average, each year. The penalty for missing CAFE targets is $5.50 per 0.1 miles per gallon shortfall, multiplied across every vehicle sold. For a manufacturer moving 500,000 trucks a year, non-compliance isn't a fine, it's an existential threat. So Stellantis engineered the eTorque system to squeeze out enough efficiency, roughly 1 to 2 miles per gallon, to keep their fleet average inside federal limits. That math worked for Stellantis. For Gary, it didn't. The problem is what happens at 60,000 to 80,000 miles. That's the range where eTorque battery modules begin degrading beyond functional threshold. The 48-volt lithium-ion battery pack, which sits behind the rear seat or under the bed depending on configuration, starts throwing fault codes. The truck doesn't stop running, but it enters a limp mode that limits performance and, in some configurations, disables the stop-start system entirely. Stellantis' 5-year/60,000-mile basic warranty covers the eTorque system, right up until it doesn't. The battery degradation issue tends to surface at 62,000 to 75,000 miles. That's 2,000 to 15,000 miles outside warranty coverage. The gap is not accidental, deliberate design, known threshold, owners unaware. By 2023, the NHTSA database listed more than 1,400 consumer complaints specifically related to the Ram 1500 eTorque system, battery failures, fault codes, unexpected shutdowns. 1,400 complaints represents a fraction of actual failures. Most owners never file a federal complaint. They just pay the bill. But here's what most people get wrong. Most people assume the problem is the repair cost. They're wrong. The repair cost is the visible wound. The real financial damage is structural, and it compounds over time in ways the sticker price never prepared them for. Here are the numbers. An eTorque battery module replacement costs between $2,800 and $4,100 at a Stellantis dealership. The labor alone runs $600 to $900 because the system requires certified diagnostic equipment that independent shops often don't carry. Gary paid $3,200. That's not unusual. That's the middle of the range. Now add the depreciation effect. A Ram 1500 with a documented eTorque failure and repair history loses an estimated $4,500 to $6,000 in resale value at private sale, because informed buyers discount immediately when they see that service record. That's not speculation. That's the spread visible on any Car Gurus or Auto Trader listing comparing eTorque-equipped trucks with and without documented battery work. $3,200 in repairs, $5,000 in depreciation. That's $8,200 in total economic damage on a truck purchased to work. No months of Gary's truck payment. He didn't buy a liability. He bought a work tool. And the tool failed him at a threshold the manufacturer knew about before he signed. Here's the counterintuitive turn. The Ram 1500 with the eTorque system consistently outperforms its non-hybrid counterpart in early ownership satisfaction scores. J.D. Power's 2022 initial quality study ranked the Ram 1500 above the F150 in overall dependability. That ranking is accurate for the first 36,000 miles. After that, the data diverges sharply. Stellantis designed a truck that wins the early quality window. They decided to engineer the eTorque system's warranty to close before the system's statistically likely failure point. That's not an oversight. That's a product lifecycle decision, and it's perfectly legal. What it isn't is disclosed at the point of sale. The extended warranty, Stellantis's MaxCare package, covers the eTorque system beyond 60,000 miles. It costs $2,100 to $3,400 depending on term. Most dealerships offer it once, at closing, in a room where the buyer has already said yes to everything else. Fewer than 23% of Ram buyers accept it. That's not a coincidence. That's a closing room dynamic. If you've ever felt like the truck industry assumes you won't read the fine print, you're not wrong. The fine print is designed to survive, not to inform. Stellantis's warranty documentation for the eTorque system runs 47 pages. The section covering battery component exclusions after the initial powertrain period is on page 31. Dealers are not required to walk buyers through it. They aren't. What most people don't realize is that the eTorque failure window isn't random. It's predictable, and it's been predictable since the system launched. Independent fleet operators who run Ram 1500s at commercial scale, delivery services, utility contractors, municipal fleets, budget for eTorque battery replacement as a scheduled cost at 65,000 miles. They know. They've known since 2020. The individual buyer has no equivalent knowledge system. The person who buys one truck, finances it over 72 months, and drives it to work every day. That person is making a decision with less information than a fleet manager ordering 40 trucks at a time. The information gap isn't accidental, it's structural, and it costs the individual buyer on average $8,200 more over the truck's life than they planned for. Watching this puts you on the same side of that information gap as the fleet managers. And that knowledge changes the calculation entirely, not just for the Ram 1500, but for every eTorque-equipped truck Stellantis sells going forward. Which brings us to what happens next. Stellantis has not issued a recall for the eTorque battery system. They've issued a technical service bulletin, TSB number 18-065-20, which acknowledges software calibration issues but stops short of admitting structural battery failure patterns. A TSB is not a recall. It doesn't trigger free repairs. It doesn't require dealer notification to existing owners. It exists in a database most owners will never search. Gary Hutchins paid his $3,200 bill. He kept his truck. He's 34 months from paying off the loan, and he'll make it. But he'll sell that Ram before he ever buys another one, and he'll tell every man he knows on a job site exactly why. The Ram 1500 will continue to be one of the best-selling trucks in America. The eTorque system will continue to hit its failure window right on schedule. And the buyers who don't know about this conversation will keep funding the gap between what Stellantis discloses and what it knows.